Welcome, my friend, to the Inner Code. This is not just another motivational channel. It's a sanctuary where ancient wisdom and modern insight merge to awaken the power already alive within you. Before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if your greatest struggles, the nights of doubt, the setbacks, the heartbreaks, are not walls stopping you, but hidden doorways leading you to your highest power? Neville Goddard taught us that imagination creates reality, but there is a hidden dimension of his teaching that is rarely spoken about: resilience. The silent strength of the spirit that rises not in ease but in adversity. Today we are going to uncover the unspoken principles that reveal how your trials are not curses. They are the very fire that forges your awakening. So if you've been feeling the weight of your challenges, if you've questioned whether your manifestation practices are working, stay with me. What we are about to explore will not only give you clarity, it will give you the unshakable resilience to walk through the storms of life and come out shining with greater power, greater peace, and greater purpose than ever before. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you never miss the tools, stories, and revelations that can transform your life. And when this message resonates with you, share it with someone you care about, because resilience is a gift we can give not only to ourselves, but to everyone whose lives we touch. Now, let us begin. There is a hidden strength within you, one that often goes unnoticed until life itself presses you into a corner. It is a strength that doesn't reveal itself when everything is going your way. It shows up when the path seems blocked, when doors close, when your prayers appear unanswered, and when you feel stripped of all certainty. This strength, this resilience, is not a separate gift that must be added to your being. It is the silent core of who you are, waiting to be awakened by the fire of adversity. Neville Goddard is remembered as the teacher of imagination, the man who declared that feeling is the secret, that assumption hardens into fact, and that every dream you dare to embrace in consciousness will eventually crystallize in the world. And yet, beneath these luminous teachings, there is another current, an unspoken one, that runs deep. It is the current of resilience, of learning to hold your vision steady when the storms of life roar against it. What if your struggles are not proof that you've failed? What if they are not signs that your manifestation has been denied? What if, instead, they are the sacred proving ground in which your faith is tempered, your vision clarified, and your spiritual identity strengthened? Neville hinted at this truth, though he did not always name it directly, that adversity is not the opposite of manifestation. It is the catalyst that makes your manifestation unshakable. Think of the alchemist's fire. To transform base metal into gold, heat is required, pressure is required, endurance is required. So it is with your spirit. Every challenge, every moment of doubt, every delay that makes you wonder if your imagination is working, these are not accidents. They are the refining fires through which your consciousness is purified until nothing remains but the clear, unbreakable awareness of who you truly are, the creator of your reality. Imagine this: a seed planted in the soil. Before it can become a tree, it must first be buried in darkness. It must push against the weight of the earth, straining upward toward light it cannot yet see. The pressure is not punishment. It is the necessary resistance that awakens its hidden life force. And so it is with you. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to awaken the resilience already within you. The God power that Neville spoke of, the Christ in you that refuses to be broken. Neville once told a story of his own challenges, how he was drafted into the U.S. Army during World War II, though he had no desire to serve in that way. By all appearances, he was trapped in a situation beyond his control. Yet Neville turned within. He imagined the freedom of walking back into civilian life honorably discharged. For months, outer reality mocked his vision. The army had no reason to release him, but Neville held his inner image with persistence, not allowing the adversity of circumstance to dictate the truth of his imagination. In time, reality conformed. He was released, exactly as he had seen. What we often overlook in this story is not just that Neville manifested his desire, but that he endured the contradiction. He faced the gap between his inner knowing and outer evidence with resilience. He chose to persist, even as life told him he was powerless. This, my friend, is the unspoken teaching. Manifestation is not merely about painting mental pictures in moments of calm. It is about holding your vision when everything visible demands you surrender it. Ask yourself, how do you respond when life contradicts your imagination? Do you crumble at the first sign of difficulty? Do you call your desire impossible when the evidence delays? Or do you recognize adversity as the sacred arena where your spiritual muscles are strengthened? This is where resilience is born, in the tension between what you imagine and what you see. Resilience is not blind endurance. It is not passive suffering. It is the conscious choice to remain faithful to the unseen vision, to walk by faith and not by sight, to know that every challenge is but a shadow that will eventually bow before the light of your assumption. This is what Neville meant when he spoke of the law of consciousness. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. What appears as adversity is not an external force working against you. It is your own consciousness reflected back, offering you the chance to rise, to choose again, to affirm once more your inner authority. But here is the paradox. It is precisely when life feels most chaotic that your imagination is most powerful. Because in those moments, you are forced to choose. Will you surrender to appearances, or will you claim your rightful dominion as creator? That choice, the choice made again and again in the face of difficulty, creates resilience. And resilience is what transforms fleeting desires into unshakable manifestations. Consider the artist chiseling a sculpture from stone. Each strike of the hammer against the chisel seems destructive, violent even. Yet without that repeated pressure, the masterpiece would remain hidden within the block. Your challenges are the chisels. The resistance you feel is shaping you, not breaking you. Through every trial, something within you is being revealed. A clarity of vision, a strength of will, a deeper trust in your divine imagination. When Neville spoke of living in the end, he did not mean living in a fantasy disconnected from the real world. He meant cultivating the resilience to stand within your imagined outcome, even when the present denies it. Living in the end is not a fair weather practice. It is forged in fire. It demands that you feel the reality of your desire even as storms rage around you, even when your bank account is empty, your body is tired, your relationships are strained. To live in the end in those moments is the truest expression of spiritual power. Pause for a moment and reflect on your own life. Where have you faced adversity? Perhaps you've been met with financial hardship, heartbreak, illness, rejection, or loss. And yet, here you are, breathing, listening, seeking truth. The very fact that you are here is evidence of resilience already alive in you. You have survived every storm until this moment. And you carry within you the power not only to endure, but to transform. Resilience, as Neville's hidden teaching reveals, is not the art of waiting it out. It is the art of transforming the inner self in the midst of difficulty. When life presses you, it is calling you to rise into a new identity, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when the evidence is nowhere in sight. This is the crucible where the false self dissolves and the true self, the divine imagination, emerges. And so, my friend, I ask you again, what if your biggest struggles are not setbacks, but secret doorways to your greatest power? What if your current challenge, the very thing you despise, is the fire designed to reveal your unbreakable spirit? This is the journey we now embark on together, to uncover the silent strength Neville carried within his teachings, to learn how adversity is not our enemy, but our ally, and to awaken to the truth that every storm is a disguised blessing, every hardship a hidden passage to divine power. To understand resilience through Neville's eyes, we must look deeper into one of his most profound revelations. Feeling is the secret. At first glance, this phrase seems to speak only to the joy of imagining, of closing your eyes and embodying the emotion of your wish fulfilled. But when life strikes with hardship, when the emotions that rise are fear, grief, and despair, what then? This is where the hidden dimension of Neville's teaching reveals itself. For Neville did not mean that only pleasant feelings have power. He meant that all feeling, every vibration, every emotional state is creative. It is not the circumstance itself that binds you. It is your response, your acceptance of a state of being. When adversity arises, you have two choices: to sink into despair and thereby perpetuate it, or to rise into faith, transmuting pain into power.
This is the alchemist's fire. Just as ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, you are called to turn fear into courage, grief into wisdom, resistance into persistence. The raw material of adversity is not worthless. It is the very substance from which spiritual gold is made. Neville told his students, "You must make your future dream a present fact by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled." Notice he did not say, "Only assume it when you feel good, when conditions are easy, when everything aligns with your desire." No. The true test is to assume the wish fulfilled in the very heart of contradiction. When your bank account screams lack, when your body aches with sickness, when doors shut in your face, that is the furnace in which resilience is forged. Think of a time in your life when you faced what seemed insurmountable, perhaps a moment of devastating loss, perhaps a season when everything you touched seemed to crumble. Did you not also discover, buried beneath the rubble, a strength you didn't know you had? That strength was not imported from outside. It was the divine flame already within you. And that flame, once kindled by adversity, can never be extinguished. Neville himself endured ridicule and misunderstanding. His teachings were radical. To declare that imagination creates reality in an age obsessed with material evidence was to invite doubt, mockery, and rejection. Yet, he persisted. Why? Because he knew that truth does not bend to outer opinion. He held steady in the face of resistance, and through his resilience, he passed down to us a legacy that continues to awaken souls across the world. This is the unspoken teaching of Neville. Manifestation is not fragile wishful thinking. It is a resilient stance of consciousness. It is spiritual stamina, and spiritual stamina is not proven when things are easy. It is proven when you stand tall in the storm. Now let us look at how this principle operates in daily life. Imagine you are facing financial struggle. The bills arrive, the numbers don't add up, and anxiety rises like a tide. In that moment, your state of consciousness is at a crossroads. If you yield to fear, your imagination confirms lack, and lack repeats itself. But if you pause, breathe, and dare to assume abundance, if you enter the feeling that all is already provided, you ignite a resilience that transforms the situation. The bills may not vanish overnight, but the inner shift
will summon unseen channels of provision. Doors will open, ideas will arrive, help will appear. Not because the world suddenly took pity on you, but because your resilient state of consciousness demanded alignment. The same applies to the heartbreak of relationships. When someone you love withdraws, betrays, or leaves, the temptation is to crumble in despair, to declare yourself unworthy of love. But in that very moment of pain lies the invitation to embody a new state, the state of wholeness, of being already loved, already complete. It is in holding this inner posture, resisting the urge to be defined by loss, that resilience flowers into freedom. And often from that freedom, either reconciliation or new love flows with greater ease. Resilience is not denial. It is not pretending pain doesn't exist. It is the courageous choice to feel the pain, acknowledge it, and then lift your inner gaze beyond it. To declare, even through tears, I am more than this moment. I am the imagination that shapes all moments, and I choose to live in the end of my desire, even now. Neville's own life demonstrates this paradox. He did not live untouched by hardship. He faced poverty, war, doubt, illness. Yet time and again he turned within, choosing imagination over resignation. He was not immune to suffering. He was transformed by it. And that, my friend, is the invitation for you. Let us bring this into sharper focus with a metaphor. Picture a bow and arrow. The farther the bowstring is pulled back, the greater the force with which the arrow flies. Adversity is the pull. It stretches you, sometimes painfully, sometimes to the point where you feel you may snap. But in truth, it is only preparing you to soar farther, faster, higher. Without the tension, the arrow would never fly. Without resistance, you would never discover your true range of power.
And so when Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he was not promising a life free of struggle. He was revealing the art of transmuting struggle into power. Each negative state is an invitation to shift. Each contradiction is a chance to deepen your faith. Each delay is the refining fire of resilience. But here's the subtle truth. Resilience is not built by force. It is not about gritting your teeth and pretending to be strong. True resilience is softness married to strength. It is surrender to the higher self, the Christ within that knows the end from the beginning. It is resting in the unseen reality even when the seen reality trembles. It is yielding not to fear but to the eternal promise that what you dare to assume will in time become fact. Feel the weight of this in your own life. Where are you being pulled back? Where do you feel the tension of delay, the ache of resistance? Rather than cursing it, see it now as the bowstring preparing your flight. Choose to hold the inner vision not because conditions support it, but precisely because they don't. That is resilience. That is the hidden power Neville carried, the power you now awaken within yourself. For resilience is not an accessory to manifestation. It is the backbone of it. Without it, imagination collapses at the first sign of difficulty. With it, imagination stands unshakable, radiating faith until the outer world has no choice but to conform. This is the alchemist's fire, the transformation of pain into power, of lead into gold, of adversity into awakening. And so, the next time you face challenge, and you will, for life is rich with opportunities to rise, remember this truth. The fire is not here to destroy you, it is here to reveal you. Step into it, not with fear, but with faith. Hold your vision, persist in your inner assumption, feel, even in contradiction, the reality of your fulfilled desire. For in that resilience lies your freedom, your power, your unshakable awakening.
There comes a moment in every journey of manifestation when your imagination feels under siege. You hold the vision, you nurture the dream, you live in the end with all the sincerity of your heart, And then the world seems to rise against you. Doors close, people doubt you, circumstances mock your inner certainty, and in that space you face the true test of Neville's teachings. It is easy to imagine when conditions are favorable. It is effortless to believe when evidence seems aligned. But when reality contradicts your vision, when the outer world declares the opposite of what you have assumed within, that is when resilience becomes the foundation of manifestation. Neville called us to live from the end, not toward it, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when all senses scream otherwise. Yet what many overlook is that this is not a practice of ease. It is a practice of courage. It is the discipline of spiritual stamina, to hold the inner state when all else shakes, to walk by faith when sight insists on lack, to declare, "It is done," even as the world laughs. Think of Neville's story of Abdullah, his mystical teacher in New York. When Neville longed to travel to Barbados, but had no money, Abdullah did not comfort him with sympathy. He did not say, "Maybe one day, Neville." No, he declared, "You are already in Barbados. You went first class." He demanded that Neville live in the end now, not later, and forbade him to speak of lack again. This was not mere imagination, it was resilience disguised as instruction. Abdullah knew that holding the vision in the face of impossibility is the highest form of faith. And what happened? Though circumstances denied it, Neville persisted in the assumption. He walked the streets of New York with the inner knowing that he was already in Barbados. He lived from the end, even when the outer world contradicted him. And in time, through a series of miraculous unfoldings, he received a ticket, first class, just as imagined, and returned home. This is imagination under siege. This is manifestation through struggle. The world will always test your assumption. It must. For only through contradiction does faith reveal its depth. If manifestation happened instantly, without delay, without challenge, would you ever develop resilience? Would you ever discover the unshakable truth of your creative power? To live in the end during struggle is to plant your flag in the invisible and refuse to move, no matter how the winds howl. It is to declare with unshakable certainty, "My inner world is the cause. My imagination is the reality." The outer world has no choice but to conform. Yet here is the beauty of this principle. The very act of persisting in imagination during adversity is itself transformative. Even before the outer world shifts, you are already changed. You become stronger, clearer, freer. You discover a peace that does not depend on conditions. You realize that the true manifestation is not merely the thing desired. It is the birth of resilience, the awakening of the God self within you. Picture a mountain climber ascending a peak. The air thins, the rocks cut, the body aches. Every step demands endurance. Yet with each step, the climber grows stronger. The challenge is not punishment, it is preparation. The summit becomes attainable only through the struggle of the climb. So it is with your imagination. Each time you hold the vision in the face of resistance, you climb higher in consciousness. Each time you persist, your resilience expands, and the summit of manifestation draws nearer. But let us be clear, resilience is not stubborn denial of reality. It is not pretending circumstances don't exist. It is choosing within the reality of circumstance to affirm a higher truth. The bills may lie before you, yet you imagine abundance. The diagnosis may shake you, yet you imagine health. The relationship may be fractured, yet you imagine harmony. Resilience is the willingness to see beyond what is into what must be, because you have assumed it. And this persistence is not sterile repetition. It is a living act of faith. It is an inner stance that says, "Though the storm rages, I remain still within. Though the evidence denies me, I hold to my inner knowing. Though the world is shaken, my vision is unshakable. This is imagination under siege and triumphing nonetheless. Neville often quoted scripture to reinforce this principle. He reminded us of the words, "Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." Notice, conviction not of the seen, but of the unseen. It is easy to believe in what you see. True resilience is believing in what you cannot see, persisting in what only the heart knows, and standing firm until the unseen crystallizes into the seen. Now consider your own life. Where does your imagination feel most under siege? Perhaps you are holding a vision of financial freedom, yet every statement screams debt. Perhaps you are affirming health, yet the body resists healing. Perhaps you long for love, yet loneliness lingers. These contradictions are not signs of failure. They are invitations to resilience. They are the sacred arenas in which you are called to choose faith over fear, vision over evidence, imagination over resignation. And here lies a mystery. Often, the greater the contradiction, the greater the breakthrough. The pressure before the dawn is always darkest. The resistance before the birth is always strongest. The moment you feel most tempted to give up is often the very threshold of manifestation. Resilience is the bridge that carries you across that threshold. So, how do you cultivate this resilience in practice? Begin with stillness. When adversity rises, pause. Breathe. Refuse the immediate urge to collapse into fear. Then, gently, deliberately, return to the inner state of your desire fulfilled. Feel it, not with strain, but with quiet confidence. Allow the joy of it, the relief of it, the certainty of it to fill you. And when doubt returns, as it surely will, repeat the practice again and again. This is not weakness, this is training. Each return builds resilience. Each act of persistence strengthens your spiritual stamina. Remember, resilience is not built in a single act. It is woven moment by moment, choice by choice, as you return again and again to your inner vision. Like a muscle, it grows stronger with use. The more you practice persistence, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, resilience is no longer something you struggle to hold. It becomes who you are. This is the essence of Neville's unspoken teaching, that imagination is not fragile. It is not a candle easily snuffed by the winds of adversity. It is a fire eternal, growing brighter precisely when the winds blow hardest. Your task is not to protect the flame from ever being tested. Your task is to tend it, to feed it, to let it blaze until no storm can extinguish it. And here is the paradoxical gift. The very adversities you despise may be the very winds fanning your flame. Without resistance, resilience cannot grow. Without contradiction, faith cannot mature. Without struggle, imagination cannot reveal its true power. So let your imagination rise even under siege. Let your vision stand even in contradiction. Let your inner fire blaze even when the winds howl. For in this act of resilient imagination lies the secret not only to manifestation, but to awakening itself. There is a paradox woven into the fabric of existence, a truth so subtle that most overlook it their entire lives. It is this: what you resist most, what you fear most, what you curse and call misfortune, may be the very force awakening you to your true power. Adversity, though painful, is not punishment, it is initiation. Neville Goddard pointed to this mystery, though not always in direct words. When he taught that Christ in you is the hope of glory, he was not promising a life without storms.
He was revealing that the storms themselves are what stir the Christ within to awaken. Without challenge, the divine imagination lies dormant, like a sleeping giant. But when life shakes you, when walls crumble and the ground gives way, that is when the Christ in you rises and says, "Peace, be still."
Think of the seed once more. If you were to spare it the darkness of the soil, if you were to keep it on the surface in the light of day, would it ever sprout? No. The soil, the pressure, the darkness, the struggle is not an obstacle. It is the womb of transformation. So too are your challenges. They are not proof of failure. They are the sacred soil in which your awakening takes root. And here lies the paradox. The very thing you call an enemy may be your greatest ally. The illness that forces you inward to discover healing. The heartbreak that teaches you are already whole. The loss that strips away illusion and reveals what truly matters. Each adversity, painful as it may be, is an invitation to awaken to a deeper dimension of your being. Neville often reminded us that man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us and we in him. If this is true, if your very essence is divine imagination, then what can adversity be but a stage upon which your creative power is revealed? The world is not against you. The world is mirroring you, shaping you, pressing you to claim your true identity. Consider the diamond. It is nothing but carbon, common and unremarkable, until it is placed under immense pressure. Only then, over time, does it crystallize into brilliance. Without pressure, no diamond. Without adversity, no awakening. The pressure you feel is not proof of your weakness. It is the sign that something extraordinary is being formed within you. This divine paradox is not meant to romanticize suffering. It is not to say that pain is good in itself. It is to reveal that pain can be transmuted, that adversity can be alchemized, that what appears as destruction may in truth be construction on a higher plane. This is the essence of resilience, as Neville implied it: to face adversity not with despair, but with the recognition that it is shaping you into who you already are in truth. Think again of Neville's military story. To the outer eye, it was an injustice, a man drafted into a war he did not wish to fight. Yet to Neville, it became a furnace in which his teaching was proven true. He persisted in imagination, endured contradiction, and emerged free. The adversity was not wasted. It became the soil in which his certainty of the law deepened, the pressure under which his diamond shone brighter. And so it is for you. Whatever storm you face today, know this: it is not here to defeat you, it is here to reveal you. The adversity you fear is the very catalyst of your awakening. It is the shadow that proves the presence of light. But here is the invitation. Do not merely endure adversity, transcend it by seeing it differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How is this happening for me?" Instead of cursing the soil, bless it as the womb of your transformation. Instead of resenting the pressure, honor it as the sculptor shaping your diamond soul. This shift of perception is the essence of awakening. For the awakened do not live in a world of enemies and obstacles. They live in a world of mirrors and opportunities. Every challenge reflects an inner state calling to be transformed. Every setback is a doorway disguised. Every adversity is a paradoxical gift. Consider the story of the caterpillar. To one who does not understand, the cocoon appears as death, as darkness, as the end of life. Yet within that cocoon, the caterpillar dissolves into formlessness, only to emerge as a butterfly, radiant and free. Without the cocoon, there is no flight. Without adversity, there is no awakening. You too may feel at times as though you are trapped in darkness, pressed by forces beyond your control. But hear this truth: you are not being buried, you are being transformed. The cocoon is not your coffin. It is your chrysalis. And in time, what emerges from this struggle will not be the same as what entered.
You will rise lighter, freer, stronger, awakened to your true self. This is why Neville insisted that you live in the end. Not because imagination alone will make life smooth, but because living in the end teaches you to see beyond adversity, to claim your higher self even in the midst of trial. When you declare, "I am already free," in the face of bondage, you awaken. When you feel, "I am already healed," in the midst of illness, you awaken. When you affirm, "I am already whole," in the moment of loss, you awaken. For resilience is not merely the capacity to survive, it is the courage to awaken through adversity, to see every storm as the Christ within calling you higher. The paradox is that the storm you fear may be the very voice of God saying, "Rise." So, pause for a moment and reflect. Where in your life are you facing pressure? What soil presses upon you? What cocoon encases you? What storm rages around you? Instead of fleeing from it, dare to see it as the alchemist's fire, the divine paradox. Bless it, embrace it. Declare that it is not here to end you, but to awaken you. For in truth, every adversity is temporary. Every storm passes. Every night gives way to dawn. But the resilience you build in the storm, the awakening you taste in the night, the power you discover in adversity, that remains forever. That is eternal. That is who you are. And so, when the next wave of challenge arises, do not despair. Smile at the paradox. Say to yourself, "This too is shaping me. This too is awakening me. This too is part of my divine becoming." And with that, you step not as a victim, but as a creator. Not as one defeated, but as one awakened. This is the divine paradox Neville's unspoken teaching reveals. Adversity is not the end, it is the beginning of your awakening. Resilience, my friend, is not something you chase outside of yourself. It is not granted to you by fate, nor withheld by circumstance. It is already within you, a quiet flame, waiting to be fanned into brilliance. The teachings of Neville Goddard remind us again and again that the world is not separate from us. It is our own consciousness pushed out. If this is true, then every adversity you face is not a random cruelty. It is a mirror, reflecting back to you the opportunity to rise. And so, if you wish to cultivate unbreakable resilience, the kind Neville implied but rarely named outright, you must begin where all of his teachings begin, within. For it is in consciousness that storms are either feared or mastered, curses either accepted or transmuted. To awaken resilience is to awaken to your divine authorship over life itself. Here is your blueprint. 1. Pause before reaction. The moment adversity strikes, the reflex is to collapse into fear, anger, or despair. But resilience begins in the pause. The space between what happens and how you respond is sacred. In that pause, breathe, still the mind. Remind yourself, I am not at the mercy of this event. I am the consciousness in which this event appears. By claiming the pause, you reclaim your power. 2. Return to imagination. When the storm rages, do not fight it on its own level. Return to the higher ground of imagination. Ask yourself, what is the end I truly desire? What does it feel like to already live in that reality? Close your eyes, feel it, embody it, and let that state become more real to you than the chaos around you. This is not escape. This is creation. 3. Bless the soil. Every seed needs soil. Every diamond needs pressure. Every butterfly needs a cocoon. When adversity comes, bless it as the soil of your becoming. Say, this is not here to break me. This is here to make me. Such a declaration turns what once seemed like curse into catalyst. The outer world may not shift instantly, but your inner world transforms in that very moment. 4.
Persist without strain. Resilience is not frantic forcing. It is steady persistence. Like the tide that returns to the shore again and again, let your imagination return to the end you have chosen. Each time doubt creeps in, return. Each time fear whispers, return. Each return is not failure. It is strength training for your soul. Over time, persistence becomes second nature, and resilience is simply who you are. 5. Extract the lesson. Every adversity carries a message. Ask, what is this teaching me about myself? What belief is it exposing? What strength is it awakening? To see adversity not as meaningless pain, but as meaningful revelation, transforms it entirely. You become not a victim of life, but a student of life, and ultimately, a master. 6. Anchor in identity. Neville declared that I am is the name of God. Resilience, then, is anchored in identity. When adversity rises, affirm not just what you desire, but who you are. I am abundance, I am health, I am love, I am free. These are not affirmations of hope. They are declarations of identity, and identity, once assumed, reshapes reality. 7. Rest in the end. Finally, resilience matures into rest. To rest in the end is to live from the wish fulfilled so deeply that adversity no longer shakes you. You may see contradiction, but you are unmoved. You may face delay, but you are unhurried. You may walk through storms, but within you there is peace. This is the ultimate resilience, not striving against the storm, but resting in the truth that the storm cannot outlast your assumption. Now imagine living from this blueprint, day by day. Challenges arise, yet you no longer collapse. Instead, you pause, you breathe, you imagine, you bless, you persist, you learn, you declare, you rest. Each adversity that once broke you now builds you. Each storm that once terrified you now strengthens you. Each delay that once frustrated you now refines you. This is resilience, not the brittle hardness of one who merely endures, but the supple strength of one who transforms. Not the weary survival of one who resists life, but the radiant awakening of one who embraces life. Resilience is not clinging to who you were, it is becoming who you truly are. And here is the highest truth. Resilience is not merely a tool for manifestation. It is the very path to awakening. For as you face adversity and persist in imagination, you discover that you are not merely shaping circumstances. You are being shaped. You awaken to the Christ within, the divine imagination that cannot be broken, cannot be defeated, cannot be diminished. This, then, is Neville's unspoken teaching. Beyond the joy of manifesting desires, beyond the thrill of shaping events, lies a deeper purpose: to awaken to your own resilience, to realize that you are greater than any storm, to embody the truth that nothing external has power over the consciousness that you are. So let me speak directly to you, here and now. Whatever storm you face, whatever mountain looms, whatever valley you walk, know this: you are not weak, you are not defeated, you are not forgotten. You are the imagination of God, clothed in flesh, called to remember your power. The adversity you face is not proof of your failure, it is proof of your strength. It is the fire that reveals the gold. Rise then, rise with resilience, hold your vision, stand in your faith, persist in your imagination, bless the storm, and awaken to the truth. You are unbreakable. And if this message has stirred something in you, if you feel even the faintest spark of resilience awakening within, then let it not end here. Carry it forward. Share it with someone you love, someone who may be facing their own storm. For resilience is not only personal, it is contagious. The strength you awaken in yourself becomes a light for others.
Subscribe now, so this journey of awakening continues with you. Leave a comment below and let us know the adversity you are choosing to transform. And if you feel called to go deeper, to walk alongside us in this unfolding of the inner code, consider becoming a member of this channel. Together, we are not just surviving, we are awakening. Remember this always. Adversity is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is not the end, it is the beginning. It is not the wall, it is the doorway. And as you walk through it with resilience, you will find not only your manifestations fulfilled, but your soul awakened to its eternal truth. You are stronger than you know. You are more powerful than you believe. And the life you dream of is not waiting in some distant tomorrow. It is here, now, within you, waiting to be assumed, waiting to be lived. Awaken, resilient one. The world is ready for your light.